Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Here on Abby the Witch, we do witchy and alternative things. If you're a returning subscriber, hi, welcome back. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me. And if you are new here, hi, welcome. It's nice to meet you, and thank you so much for joining us today. So here today on Abby the Witch, I'm going to be going over some plants that grow naturally or wildly around me and the environment that I'm in, or I'm going to be talking about plants that I grow myself, and I will be discussing the metaphysical properties of these plants. Now, it's either going to be metaphysical properties that I researched and learned about, or it's going to be metaphysical properties that I meditated on and received messages about, or both, okay? I'm not going to be talking so much about medicinal properties of these plants, although I know and I'm very aware of the fact that they exist. I'm just not super knowledgeable on it, so I'm not going to be discussing that. I'm only going to be discussing the magical or metaphysical properties of these plants, okay? My shout out today is actually Danu's Irish Herb Garden. I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. I feel like that's like a Gaelic term, I'm not really sure. Danu's Irish Herb Garden, okay? She is fantastic. She talks about metaphysical and medicinal properties of all kinds of different plants, flowers, and herbs. Some that she grows herself, some that she actually goes out into the world and finds herself that are growing, like I said, with what I'm going to be talking about, natural or wildly growing flowers or plants. She has a wealth of knowledge on what these plants can do for you, okay? What kind of medicine they can provide for you. And also, what are the metaphysical properties? What are the traditions that are done around that plant or herb or flower, okay? She also talks a lot about just different traditions in general, different like pagan or Gaelic traditions. She is Irish, if you haven't figured that out in her name. She's just really cool. She is very wise. She has a lot of information. She also talks about how she makes like her own things like soap. She's made her own shampoo, her own deodorant, her own laundry detergent, different remedies for colds that she's made. So all kinds of stuff that has to do a lot with natural usage of herbs and plants and flowers. Okay, so this shout out definitely goes out to her. She actually inspired me to do this video today. So if you definitely want to learn more about the medicinal properties of certain plants, I would go check her out for sure. Yeah, go show her some love for sure. Okay guys, so before I jump into like the specific different types of plants that I work with, I'm going to tell you how I figure out the metaphysical properties that are connected to these plants. Now, like I said, I do a lot of research because I've said it over and over again, but knowledge is power. I don't only use intuition, I do research. Anyway, I do a lot of research online and a lot in books too of the metaphysical properties of different plants and flowers that other people have discovered, right? So I utilize that information that's already there for me. But I wanted to talk about how I figure it out kind of like on my own with my intuition. So if I find a plant or a flower that I am like very drawn to and I feel like I need to work with it, I will actually sit with it for a while and meditate next to that plant, right? I will focus my energy on that plant and I will try to kind of like talk to it a little bit in my mind and just wait and see if there's any messages coming from that plant. Sometimes I'll get messages on what the metaphysical properties are or what they want as an offering. Sometimes I won't, but that is how I figure out what flower I really want to work with, along with the research that I do too. But now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and start off my plant list. So the first one I really wanted to talk about today was something that's very common and a lot of witches work with them is dandelions. I had to include dandelions even though there's so much information out there on dandelion magic. I love dandelions. I'm sure a lot of you do. There are a lot of people out there who consider them weeds. Yeah, I don't really care. I still love them. They're bright, they're yellow, they're very alluring. So I love working with dandelions. And they have so many medicinal and like just in general like good things about them. You can eat them, you can put them in a tea. Like there's so many things you can do with dandelions. But again, I'm just sticking with the metaphysical properties. So this was one of those flowers that I definitely did both research and meditation. When I did my research on dandelions, I found a lot of things on including them in spells that have to do with increasing your happiness, making you feel cheerful, right? When I meditated on them and did even further research, I found that they are great for increasing psychic ability. For some reason, that is like the biggest connection I have with them. When I meditate on it, that's what I get. And when I do, like I said, when I do further research, I have found that other people have found that connection too. I often put dandelions into like bath salts that I use to increase psychic abilities, spells I'm using to kind of awaken or spark my psychic abilities. So anything that has to do with increasing or stretching or strengthening your psychic abilities, that intuitive muscle, if you will, I use dandelions a lot for that. The next flower I really wanted to talk about was lilacs. Okay, I actually have a lilac tree, lilac bush that's growing just on the side of my house. She didn't make it, unfortunately, because we had a really late snowfall, like almost May. It was like late April, early May. We had a random sudden snowstorm. We got literally probably like a foot of snow, and she snapped. She just couldn't take with all of her leaves and blooms, she had already bloomed and everything. It was just too much weight and she snapped. So all of the blooms died. Like the cicadas love her and all the insects love her still, which is great. But yeah, it's really sad she didn't make it. But anyway, lilacs are really fun for love spells, okay? So through my research, what I found is that lilacs are great for being flirty. They are great for like short-term flings, like if you're a person who's single and you're starting to date and you want to talk to people and you kind of want to get to know yourself and what your needs are via relationship, if that makes sense. A lilac would be great. You want to meet that person. It's not good for that. That would be something else, like way more intense for like a love spell. Lilac is more for like love and lust, right? Like I said, it's more for dating, figuring out what you want when you're just doing like flings or talking to people. Lilac is great for that, for flirtiness and confidence. Through my meditation, honestly, the color lavender in general, when it comes to like amethyst or the plant lavender or lilac, I always associate it with bringing light into darkness. So you could use it for spells if you're having like a rough time or you're in a period of darkness. A lilac could be used in a spell to kind of bring light to your life, okay? All right, so the next plant I want to go over is, I'm not sure if everyone has this plant, and honestly, this is the first year that I've really discovered it, or at least that it started growing here. I'm not really sure, but that is gill over the ground, or gill over the hill, or ground ivy. There's so many different names for it. And there's a lot of different properties that I use this for too as well. So through my research, and what I have found, traditionally, it was used for guarding from evil, right? during like the witch trials and when everyone was paranoid and terrified of witches, milkmaids would actually make wreaths of ground ivy and put them around their cows' necks to protect them from witches putting like curses on people's livestock, right? So milkmaids would actually do that for the cattle to protect them with ground ivy. I thought that was so interesting. When I meditated on it, I didn't find that it does that really. I mean, it could be totally different for someone else. I feel like people's connections to certain plants or things, like it depends on the person, it depends on your relationship with that plant, that thing, whatever. But my relationship with ground ivy is different than protection. When I was doing meditation on this plant, I have found that it can give you a sense of new perspective, right? Seeing things from a different point of view. Ground ivy spreads all over the place and it's really low to the ground. It's not a plant that kind of goes up, it spreads, right? Hence ivy, ground ivy, it spreads all over the ground. And it has lots of different sprouts. So when I meditated on it, I kind of thought of it as like looking at something from different points of view and seeing fresh new perspectives on things, okay? It could also help you see the truth because of that. Seeing things from new perspective could help you understand the truth. Honestly, with any kind of wildflower too, I also almost always get a connection to embracing your wild side or embracing kind of like that primitive side of yourself. So anytime you want to do a spell with like trying to get in touch with your primitive side or trying to get in touch with your like wild feminine or wild masculine side, right? Wildflowers is a good way to get in touch with that, to me. Another wildflower I really wanted to go over that's growing here in Indiana is wild violet. Now, the blooms, the blooms are pretty much gone. That's why I don't really have any video footage of it. It's just kind of like a picture. I wish I had better footage of it. But when I showed you guys the dandelion footage too, all those purple little flowers that are around it, those were all wild violet. They bloom, I think that was like late March, early April. They bloom all the way up till like, it was like mid-May, late May. And then the blooms go away. They don't die. The plant doesn't die. Just the blooms go away. Then, you know, it's just the green leaves that are left. So the flowers themselves aren't out for a very long time, but they are so beautiful. I also associate these with psychic ability, increasing your psychic ability. Definitely also embracing that wild side, especially with wild violet, that wild feminine side, right? So embracing your feminine sex appeal, embracing feminine urges, embracing maybe like feminine instincts, like traditional feminine instincts, like maternal instincts or whatever. You can be male or female and do this. Masculine and feminine are just two different energies. I've said that in a video before, so don't get it too mixed up, okay? I've definitely worked on embracing my wild masculine too. So no matter what gender you are, you can work on either. I haven't done this yet, but I've really been wanting to try wild violet for sex magic. I think that would be great. It could really help with trying to kind of embrace, like I said, that sex appeal, that sexy feminine side, that wild feminine side. Any spells that has to do with that, I feel like you could evolve and include wild violet in some way. Now, traditionally, through the research that I found, wild violet is actually used for love and lust spells, kind of like lilac. It's been used a lot for finding love or increasing love or strengthening a relationship, like relationship magic and everything. I didn't find that at all when I was meditating on it, but maybe for some of you it works great. I view wild violet as it's not like lilac. It's not romantic. I don't really view it as romantic. I view it as more like I said, there's almost like a sexual energy with it. There is a little bit of psychic ability associated with it, but when I meditated on it, it was like primitive sexual urges, and kind of like learning how to embrace that was what Wild Violet could really help with. All right, so moving on, I wanted to talk briefly about mock strawberry. Mock strawberry grows here. I feel like it grows pretty much everywhere, but mock strawberry, they look like tiny little strawberries, hence why it's called mock strawberry. So the research that I kind of found on it was it can be good for protection from hexing. So mock strawberry can really help you see the truth, okay? This is through my research and through meditation. They're a little bit different, but for the most part, honestly, I found kind of like very similar things through meditation and research, okay? So through my research, I found that it can really help you see who hexed you or the true intention behind someone, okay? I think this is because it has to do with the fact that it's trying to mock a strawberry. It's trying to be a strawberry when it's not. So the magic behind it is helping you uncover the truth, right? And when I meditated on it, I pretty much found the same, but it was more general. It was just seeing the truth behind anything. Seeing the truth when someone or something is trying to use a cover to try to convince you that it's something else, okay? I've actually dried mock strawberry up in my oven at very low temperature with the door open for like, I don't know how long, I forget, probably like 20 minutes or so. But I dried them up in my oven. I crunched them up and I put it into a witch sachet for seeing the truth. I could go more into detail about that sachet if you guys would like to, but it's helped me a lot. Seeing the true intentions or the truth behind some certain people, okay? It's no joke. Mock strawberry has helped me see the truth a few times. So I kind of wanted to dive into, before I talk about plants that I've grown personally myself, I wanted to grow into a couple of trees that I love. The first tree I really wanted to talk about was birch trees. Now, birch tree is talked about a lot, whether it be the wood, the bark, or the leaves. I have used birch tree twigs for my witch's broom that I handcrafted. Traditionally, birch trees are used for cleansing and new beginnings. I kind of felt this way anyway, so I never really meditated on it. I kind of just went by the traditional approach. I know traditionally a lot of witches use birch wood as the bristles of the broom, so that when you sweep your sacred area, it's cleansing it and it's getting rid of anything icky or bad in your spiritual space. So that's why I included it on my, did I include it on my? Yes, I did. I included it on my witch's broom. I forgot I got birchwood. But yeah, birchwood is great. The leaves, any part of the birch tree, honestly, is great for cleansing and for creating new beginnings, right? So include it in your spells for new beginnings. It will be great to, somehow one day when I include birch for like when I'm taking like a new moon bath and I'm planting my new intentions, right? New beginnings. I think that would be great. The next tree I'm going to talk about was the good old-fashioned apple tree. Apple trees are so sacred. Traditionally, to pagans, apple trees are very sacred. To me, they are still very sacred. I love apple trees. They provide wisdom. Apples provide wisdom. Apple tree wood provides wisdom. The leaves, any part of the apple tree, wisdom, divine feminine, fertility. It also was considered the food of the gods. I believe in I forget what culture, but it was like the tree of the underworld. But yeah, I've briefly touched on apple magic in one of my other videos, but apples hold a lot of magic. They hold a lot of magic, and apple trees are sacred, man. I also included apple tree wood on my broom as well. Yeah, they provide a lot of wisdom. I always keep my apple nearby me or apple tree wood by me when I'm like reading to learn, when I'm reading to obtain information. I keep something apple next to me to bring more wisdom. All right, guys, so we're moving on now to plants that I grow myself. So these aren't plants that I find outside growing freely. These are plants that I have intentionally grown. The first one I wanted to talk about was catnip. Catnip is great. Catnip is underrated. It holds a lot of metaphysical, magical properties. I have used it in bath salts. I have used it in witches' bottles, through research and through meditation and thinking about it. Catnip really is associated with happiness and cheeriness and kind of giving you ample energy. When you think about it, like a cat, when it's around catnip, it's like in heaven, right? It's on like on cloud 9. So I associate it with lifting one's spirits. If I'm doing enchanted bath salts or a witch bottle for happiness and cheeriness, or even like childlike feelings, right? I'll include catnip. Sometimes I'll include dandelion too for those things. Catnip and dandelion actually has a lot in common when it comes to that. But yeah, catnip, underrated. You can also make tea out of it. There's a lot of things you can do with catnip. The next one I grow myself that I wanted to tap on was mint. Mint to me has to do with, yes, refreshment. Like after you're done and you're feeling drained, mint can really help rejuvenate you. But the biggest thing I really use mint for is money spells, prosperity, abundance. Mint does a great job of helping draw in prosperity. I've used it in money spells. I've used it in bath salts that are bath salts for abundance. I've also put it in like money sprays, like magical money sprays. Mint is great for if you are wanting to have more prosperity in your life, even if it's not to do with money. If you want abundance of anything, that's good. You want abundance of fulfillment in life, mint could help with that a lot. So the last plant I really wanted to talk about today that I grow myself, and actually it's just the last on my list in general, is rosemary. Rosemary is a relatively new love of mine. I love rosemary for hair growth spells. Rosemary is wonderful for your hair. I've also read too through research that rosemary is great for protection. Now, I haven't really associated rosemary with that when I do like my intuitive feelings about rosemary. I only find that it's really good for my hair. I've used it for my hair growth spells as well as like hair thickening, right? And just hair health. I don't know. It's worked great for my hair growth spells though. Like rosemary is great. Wonderful for it. Okay guys, so those are all of the plants, trees, flowers, herbs, whatever that I really wanted to talk about today. If you work with any other plant, tree, or herb or flower that you work with and you know the metaphysical properties of, or you feel like has really strong metaphysical properties that work for you, let us know down below, please. I would love to know. I'm sure others would love to know as well. And I also have an Instagram, Abby the Witch. If you would like to go check me out over there, I do tarot card readings on my IGTV every once in a while. Pick a decks if you'd like to check that out. And I also sell some witchy things over there as well. So if you're interested in any of those things, head on over there. And that's about it, guys. So until next time, I hope you stay well. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.